This video presentation is going to be about the 4 concepts that I've learned over this past semester in literature. One of the first concepts I learned was the importance and effect of literary devices. Over these past few months, I've learned the effects that literary devices have on stories. Literary devices help bring meaning and character to a story. Foreshadowing is a literary device which hints at the possible outcomes of a story, where imagery is used to make a story come to life. Each and every one of these literary devices come together to make a story more intriguing for the reader. This is as long as you're willing to read into the context of a story. His eyes made over the shadowy outlines of the Palazzo Chateau. It was set on cliffs, divvied down to where the seas licked the greedy lips, in the shadows. In the short story, The Most Dangerous Game, there is a sinister vibe to it. Without this, the story would lose some meaning to it. Throughout the story, Connell maintained the eerie feeling of the story with his exquisite use of literary devices. He did this by continuously using imagery to really get the sense of how the location where the story takes place should be perceived. Many stories, like and unlike The Most Dangerous Game, use literary devices to get the sense of how the story should really be perceived, like imagery, but also foreshadowing, which leads readers guessing at how the outcome will be. This next topic is the importance and effect of characterization and character motivation. For this concept, I've used the novella of Mice and Men. Characterization is the basis of all stories. There is no story when the people in books don't receive a persona. This, though, doesn't mean the author has to directly tell each detail of the character's life through the story. The fun part about being a reader is sometimes the author gives hints about the character, but he doesn't tell the whole story and not being direct. This is known as indirect characterization. The other type of characterization is direct characterization, which is more easily spotted. Small, strong hands, quick, restless eyes, slender arms, tan-skinned face, and a thin, bony nose. The unit on the novella of Mice and Men was most critical to my education of characterization. This story consistently used characterization all throughout. In the story, there was a lot of direct characterization, mostly on the characters of George and Lenny, such as the quote I previously stated, but equally used in the story is indirect characterization, used mostly through the characters of Candy, Crooks, and Curly's wife. What indirect characterization does is it makes the reader think more thoroughly and gives off a different presumptions to individual readers. One of the most important concepts is the importance of theme. Theme is the main aspect of all story. It's the reason an author writes a book and the point they want their audience to grasp. Theme is a topic that I've known for quite a while now, but this year has had me using deeper thinking to understand its full purpose. Love is a smoke, with a fume of sighs, being purged, a fire sparkling in lovers' eyes, being vexed, a sea nourished with lovers' tears. What is it else? A madness most discreet, a choking gall, and preserving sweet. Shakespeare's play, Romeo and Juliet, is known for its strong theme. This theme includes love and demise. This sometimes can be hard to figure out due to the vocabulary used. As you read more deeply into it, dissecting the story, you can see the reason the story has become so popular and why it is still read today, more than 400 years after it was originally written. This is the importance of theme. Theme is what makes a story prosper and what makes readers love it. The last concept I will be talking about today is the importance of making literature meaningful by recognizing the connections to yourself and the world around you. For this concept, I've used my choice novel, Stranded. When reading Stranded, I could recognize the connection I had with the story. Once you distinguish the connection to a story, the story can become more personal, which in return broadcasts a sense of acquired intellect. We need to stick together, or we won't make it. We need to get along. Books target a vast majority of people. Individuals may find different connections in the same book. Many authors make different connections so that when people read it, they can relate to it and hopefully learn from the book. One connection I saw in my book was teamwork. In the book's case, they use teamwork in a life or death situation. The important takeaway of the story is that even if you don't like your team or the group of people you are stuck with are unreliable, if you figure out how to work together, you will succeed. Oftentimes in life, you are stuck with people you don't like being with. Being a self-worker doesn't make you successful. This story is a great example of connections. Other stories as well are great examples of connections. These connections make readers more intelligent in real-life situations. So in conclusion, over this past semester, over these 4 main concepts that I have learned in literature class, I've become a better reader, writer, and speaker, and I hope I take with me what I've learned this semester and use it in following years to come.